Shabbat Shalom, everyone. For those of you either online or here in the room who may not know me personally, my name is Rabbi Sarah Zober, and I am half of the rabbinic team here at Temple Sinai. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you this cold November evening. I hope everyone brought their jackets for the way out. But it is nice and toasty warm in here, and we are going to be celebrating together a Shabbat wherein we have some things to celebrate, which it feels like for a few weeks we haven't had a whole lot to celebrate. So I am pleased to report that 13 of the hostages in Israel are now on the home side of the border, as well as some Palestinian kids being returned to their families. So it's a good day. And we hope that the ceasefire will hold and that everyone comes home safely eventually. For those of you who have not yet had a chance to pray with us, we are praying from Sidur Mishkan Tefillah. It is either in the form of a blue book that should be in front of you, or if you're online, you can find a virtual Sidur that you can pull up at sinaireno.org/live. And it will have all of the prayers that we're doing tonight and everything that you need to follow along with the service. For those of you who have not used a Jewish prayer book, it does open up the opposite way of an English prayer book. Don't be surprised. It takes a few services to get the hang of turning the pages the other way. But I will try to announce as many page numbers as we can. And the page numbers are in English, so that'll help. It is my pleasure to ask you to turn to page 3 for our first reading this evening. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all those who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. It's my pleasure to invite up Rose, one of our board members, to light our Shabbat candles. Cool. I think Michael can handle. Yeah. Why don't you come up and we'll let Michael and Rabbi Ben handle the crowd influx. If you'd like to follow along with Rose, you can follow along on page 2. Sorry.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehavik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Rose. We are warming up for Shabbat, not just because of the cold, but because it's been a long week. And it takes time to get into the mood of Shabbat. Even though it's been Shabbat for a few hours, since we are here on the other side of the high holidays, we get some long stretches here in Shabbat evening. But to make sure that we are all in the practice, we are going to sing from Ki Eshmara Shabbat, which can be found on page 11. This is actually a Baghdadi Jewish melody. Ki Eshmara Shabbat El Yishmereini. Ki Eshmara Shabbat El Yishmereini. Oti leomead Beno uveni. Oti leomead Beno uveni. Eshmara Shabbat El Yishmereini. Ki Eshmara Shabbat El Yishmereini. Oti leomead Beno uveni. Oti leomead Beno uveni. We turn to page 12 for Lechuna Ranana. We're just going to be singing the first few lines, so don't worry, you don't have to get the whole page there. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai. Naria, Naria, Letzoy Yeshenu, Lekad Mafana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Letzoy Yeshenu, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai. 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 Naria, Naria, Letzoy Yeshenu, Lekad Mafana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Letzoy Yeshenu, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Ladonai. Now that we're a little bit more warmed up than we were when we came in, we're going to turn to page 20 for Lechado D. Lechado D is our piyut, our liturgical poem, where we welcome the Sabbath in the form of a bride. And everybody knows that what you do when the bride walks in is that you stand up, and in Jewish tradition, we bow as we say, Bali Kala, come, O bride. And so I invite you to do that when we get to our ninth and final verse. We will be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on the ninth and final verse, we're going to turn and face the doors and then bow. Okay. Yaidai Lacha Dodi Likrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalat Lacha Dodi Likrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalat Lacha Dodi Likrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalat Lacha Dodi Likrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah Shamor v'Safor v'Dibur Echad Hishmianu Hameyuchad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad L'Shem Tiferet V'Litchila La 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 L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah Nikrat Shabbat L'chu B'neilcha Ki Mekor Havaracha Merosh Mikadem Nesucha Sof Ma'aseh B'Machshava Tchila La 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 L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah Hitorari Ki ba'orech Kumi Uri Shir Daveri Kevod Adonai Alayich Nigla La 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 L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah. We all rise. Bo'wi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'b'tzola Toch emunei am segula Bo'wi chala L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah L'Chadodi Nikrat Kala Panei Shabbat Kabbalah. You may be seated. We turn to page 26 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'b'yom echon u'b'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Bagala Uvizman Kariv Veimeru Amen Yahei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Olam Me'amaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitba'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yithador V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei D'Kudasha Brichu Le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'yimeru Amen. We all rise for the Baruch Hu, which can be found on page 28. Baruch Hu
את אדוני המבורך.
We turn to page 31, and we read together at the bottom of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. The next prayer can be found on the next page.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadata, Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shofteinu, U'kmeinu nasiach bechukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, Ki hem chayeinu, Ve'orach yameinu, Uvahem nege yomam v'layla, Nege yomam v'layla. Be'ahavatcha al tasir, Mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael.
The Shema can be found on the next page.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. We continue with the Shema on page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kulnecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem Emet. We turn together to page 41 and we read together. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Micha Mocha can be found on page 40.
Va'elim Adonai Mikanocha Nedov HaKodesh Nora Tilot Oseh V'aleh Nora Tilot Oseh V'aleh Malchut Achara'u V'anecha Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe Ve'lianu ve'amru Ve'lianu ve'amru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed Yaidai 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 V'nema kifet Adonai et Yaakov Ugalo miad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. We turn to page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeis sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Vishamru can be found on the next page. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו
ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים את הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ברית עולם. We turn to page 46, and please rise in body or in spirit as we join in our standing prayer. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 48. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. We continue silently to page 62. Please be seated when you're finished or when you feel ready. We turn to the middle of page 62. Ve'gyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzori Adonai tzori Adonai tzori Begoali We turn to page 245 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our service for the reading of the Torah. It is my pleasure to invite up Joshua and Jason King as our ark openers and Bonnie to carry our Torah this evening. We turn to page 245 and we all rise. Happy is the one who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding, for its value is greater than silver, its yield than fine gold. It is more precious than rubies. No treasure can match it. Page 246. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Udevar Adonai Yerushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai Hagedula, V'Hagevura, V'Hatiferet, V'Hanetzach, V'Hahod, Ki Cho B'Shamayim U'Ba'aretz, Ki Cho B'Shamayim U'Ba'aretz, Adonai HaMamlacha, V'Yamid Na'aseh L'Chol Rosh, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omed, Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gemilut Chasadim, Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gemilut Chasadim. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You may be seated. Thank you, Bonnie. This is fun. I never get to do this. It is my pleasure to invite up Rabbi Benjamin Zober as our aliyah this evening. Ya'amod Harav Binyamin ben Yaakov V'bracha la'aliyah. What anniversary of your bar mitzvah is this?
It's like 31.
31,
something
yeah.
like that.
So this just goes for every adult who has ever done an adult bar or bat mitzvah, and every person who has ever tutored or will tutor a child. I'm looking at you too. You never forget the first 5 verses of your Torah portion. 31 years later. You only practice 3?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine, whatever. So Rabbi Ben is going to do his first 3 verses of his Torah portion. If you'd like to follow along, the little booklet that you have stuffed in your prayer book has the Hebrew and the English. You can follow along in either. He is reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 28, verses 10 through 12. And we are in Parshat Vayetze.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayetze Yaakov mi Be'er Shava vayelech Harana vayivka bamakom vayalen sham kiva hashemesh vayikach me'avnei hamakom vayasem merashotav vayishkav bamakom hahu vayachalom vahine sulam mutzav arza v'rosho magia hashamayma Vahine malachei Elohim olim v'yordim bo. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Don't go anywhere. He's smirking because he knows what happens next. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, since you have come up to Torah for the honor of God and Torah. May you merit from the Holy One of blessing, protection, rescue from any trouble or distress, and from any illness, minor or serious. May God send blessing and success in your every endeavor, together with all Israel, and let us say, Amen. Well done. At this time, with the Sefer Torah in our midst, we think of those in our community and beyond who are in need of healing. Whether that healing be a healing of body or a healing of spirit. At this time, we're thinking of Laura Bartleson, Kathy Bartlett, Tracy Bartlett, Batia Tali, Laura Cohen, Dan Dworkin, Jeffrey Four, Stephen Gold, Marlene Harris, Debbie Herman, Kevin Knox, Margaret Lewicki, Harav Miriam bat Shifra v'Pinchas, Harav Miriam Ya'el Chaya bat Sarah, Nechama Chana bat Shmuel Yitzhak v'Rut, Tim Ober, Leslie Pansky, Sue Pellman, Claire Petersky, Carol Pevney, Cindy Powell, Jackie Ramirez, Judy Ramos, Sarah Batchava, Phil Shallett, Chris Stanton, Ray Steinberg, Vanessa Wagoner, Bobby Wells, and Usher Zalich. Of course, we are also thinking of all those in Israel and Palestine, of Trenton McGregor, Airman First Class, and all the military personnel assisting Israel, of the people of Hawaii, everyone affected by the coronavirus, and the Jewish and other communities in the Ukraine, and anyone across the world who is living in a place of war or suffering. If there are other people that you'd like to name at this time, please do so as my hand sweeps over you.
Haley Morris.
Leticia Cruz.
Melissa Peters, Michael Rodriguez, and Socorro Cornelis.
Thank you. For all those that we've mentioned and for those whose names remain locked in our hearts, our song for healing can be found on page 253. Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. It's my pleasure to invite up John to help me address the Torah. Our song is on the bottom of page 252, and we all rise. All right, just spot me. This is the first one. וזאת התורה ששם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. יי די די די, יי די 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 די, יי די 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 די, יי די די די. Yay, die, 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 yay, die, 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 yay, die, 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 die. וזאת התורה ששם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. Yay, die, 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 yay, die, 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 yay, die, 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 yay, die, 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 yay, die, 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 yay, die, 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 yay, die, 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 die. We turn to page 257, and we read responsibly. When Torah entered the world, freedom entered it. The whole Torah exists only to establish peace. Its highest teaching
is love and kindness. What is hateful to you, do not do to any person.
That is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. Go and learn it. Those who study Torah are the true guardians of civilization.
Honoring one another, doing acts of kindness, and making peace. These are our highest duties. But the study of Torah is equal to them all because it leads to them all.
Let us learn in order to teach. Let us learn in order to do. Go ahead and open up there. Etz chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomcha meushar. Derachah, Darkeinu, V'chon Tivotah, Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Eleinu.
You may be seated. This week, in our Torah portion, Jacob sets out into the wilderness. He comes upon a makom, just a certain place. He pulls up a comfy rock and falls asleep and dreams of a sulam mutzav arza, a ladder that's set firmly into the ground, with its top stretching into the heavens. Rabbi Solomon Ibn Gabriel tells us that Jacob, and indeed every human, is that ladder. We are mortal. We are firmly rooted in this material world in which we live, but we are also bashamayim, in the heavens, spiritual beings, with our thoughts and our soul somewhere else. The trick to being human, therefore, according to him, is to be able to move up and down that ladder between the physical and the spiritual realms, as illustrated by the angels in our story. To influence the material world with spiritual and ethical thoughts, and on the other hand, to use our actions in the world to enact our highest spiritual goals and ethics. But even at the slower pace of life that we used to live in ancient times, this integration of the spiritual and material selves is a difficult task. And if we stop Jacob's story here, we may come to the conclusion that this is something that can only be achieved by the holiest and most righteous among us. You know, the ones God personally visits in dreams. But the story of Jacob goes on. And he wakes up the next morning, marks the spot as holy ground, and makes a vow. He says, if God remains with me, and if God protects me on my journey, and if God gives me bread to eat, and if God gives me clothing to wear, and if I return safely to my father's house, then Adonai will be my God. Now, this sounds more human to me, at least. Jacob seems to say that dreams and angels are all well and good, but he needs to see some concrete benefit before he trusts this Adonai fella completely. Protection, food, clothing, shelter. These are the ways we humans understand love and the relationships around us. Now, in the Talmud, of course, the rabbis go on wondering why Jacob asks for all of these things. Isn't Jacob rich? And doesn't he already have all of them? Isn't he already the one whom God just promised much, much more? Rabban Gamliel teaches us that Jacob was not asking for those more material things, but he was asking for God to give the things that he needed: security, food, clothing, and shelter. Jacob was asking for God to give them to him directly, without the struggle that normally accompanies the acquisition of those things in the human and material realms. He states, in the world to come, it will be like it was in the Garden of Eden. And the land of Israel will grow fully baked cakes and fine wool garments right out of the ground. This may be hard for us to wrap our minds around as modern people. You know, people who magically buy our flour in 5-pound bags at the store down the street. Or people who sift through racks of pre-made fitted clothing to our bodies at Kohl's. So let's take this concept, the most relatable of these, the bread that we're going to all break together later tonight, as an example of what it might mean to marry the material with the spiritual and become Jacob's ladder. First, who here has ever baked a loaf of bread before? All right, not cakes or cookies, a loaf of bread. Okay. Now, of those people, no, keep your hands up. Of those people, who here has baked challah before? Okay, that's a good percentage. Challah is a special subset of bread, a bread that, like Shabbat, tries to transcend the physical and touch the spiritual. Educator Zoe Furtick of Bina tells us that the rituals surrounding challah are a weekly reminder to bring blessings into existence. Every step of the process of making challah is full of spiritual meaning, but only if you look. So let's go through it together to witness the integration of material and spiritual. First, let's talk about bread in the ancient world. Bread, a symbol of life and sustenance and community. The sages teach us that bread, lechem, is togetherness. And indeed, in other languages, we get words like companionship, kompania, from this connection. Bread is a food that is meant to be shared and abundant, and it is always made to be more than one serving. They say, our sages say, if you rearrange the letters in the Hebrew word lechem, lamed, chet, mem, you spell the opposite, milchama, which is the Hebrew word for war. Milchama is caused by a lack of togetherness, by famine, by hunger, and by resource scarcity. It is vital, this lechem, this bread, and everyone needs it. With it, we come together, but without it, we risk a world torn apart. But as those of us who have made bread can attest, bread is a laborious thing to make. In the Tosefta, the Rabbi Ben Zoma would marvel at a large crowd of people standing at the Temple Mount, and he would say, "Blessed is the one who created all of these people to serve me." And then he would go on and say, how much did that first human toil before he tasted even a single mouthful of bread? He planted grain, he plowed, he reaped, he bound the sheaves, he threshed, he winnowed, he selected, he ground, he sifted, he kneaded, and he baked it, and only after that could he eat it. And I, Ben Zoma, get up in the morning and find all of this done already for me. When holding our 5-pound bag of flour at Safeway or our challah at Trader Joe's, it can be hard to imagine everything and everyone who went into that before it got into our hands. But it is vitally necessary to feel that connection in order to truly understand what challah is. Jewish food blogger Danielle Renov reminds us that each and every ingredient in challah has meaning as well. Yeast and eggs are symbolic of life. Water is a symbol of the Torah itself. Sugar is the sweetness of Shabbat. Oil is a reminder that we Jews are called to be holy and anointed people. And the flour is the partnership between God and humankind. Mix these all together and you get a sticky, gooey, gluey mess that in no way resembles dough that you can braid. It is still not yet integrated. Jamie Geller of Kosher Cookbook fame offers us the secret to challah. Self-dubbed as the shortcut queen, she says that she never, ever uses her stand mixer to make challah. She says challah needs hands, and it needs at least 10 minutes of dedicated kneading. You have to sink your hands into that messy and sticky goo, and you need to work it. You have to give it time and then trust that that sticky goo is going to come out as a dough. Sounds like a life lesson, no? Traditionally, while kneading and working our dough, we're told to infuse it with our prayers. Prayers for our family, prayers for our world, prayers for healing, for a good relationship, for peace. And this is where it goes from bread to challah. Once it has become smooth and integrated and altogether something else from its ingredients, and it's infused with the wishes of our hearts, we break off a small bit of that dough, we wrap it in foil, and we burn it in the oven. A reminder of the sacrifices of old, the reach nichoach, the pleasant smell that went up to God's nostrils. Only then can we braid it and bake it, cover it, and then bless it with the strangest blessing in our liturgy. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed is the one who brings forth bread from the earth. That collective labor, from God to the farmer to the miller, and in our world to the trucker and the grocer and the baker, to our community table this evening. That challah is our weekly reminder that there is something more in this world that goes beyond the material world. But only if we're willing to walk up that ladder and bring it back down into our lives. Once we decide to look for it, though, we too, like Jacob, may be able to exclaim, Achen, yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh v'anochi lo yadati. Surely God was in this place, and I did not realize it. So whether we are baking challah, making our living, or just observing Shabbat simply, the Torah invites all of us to be a sulam mutzav arza, a ladder that is rooted into the earth, but also v'rosho magia hashamayma, with our hands and our spirits reaching always towards the heavens and the spiritual realm. That is where the material concerns of this world will become elevated and enriched and given their greatest meaning, and where we, like a good challah dough, can become an integrated whole ourselves. Shabbat shalom. It is my pleasure to invite up Matthew and Ellis to open our ark doors for the Aleinu. We turn together to page 282, and we all rise. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gidula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishmachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption shall no longer give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Page 287. V'nemar v'haya Adonai Lamelech kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo U'shemo echad. Thank you, friends. You may be seated. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, to hope, dream, to be. To be and oh, to lose. A thing for fools, this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This week, we are remembering Sue Berkhammer, Daniel B. Stage, Aaron Yosef, Tova Batmayer Vitirza, Raymond Russell Riker, Judith Tamkin, David Torgman, Lorenzo Otero, Anita Goldwasser, Jamie Smith, Mark Umlis, Francine Catherine Barr, David Ben Avraham, Tatiana Marie Granoff, Millie Ralston, Carol Ann Garris, Esther Bat Evron, Scott Johnson, and Eric Hobson. And this week we're commemorating the yahrzeit of Norman Weiss, Stanley Browdy, Frida Alderman, Fanny Abramson, Betty Williams, Paul Schumer, Bess Barber, Etta Goldstein, Isidore Pansky, Michael Four, Helen Luxon, Maxwell Kahn, Seaman Kaplan, Marion Goldzier, Max Garfinkel, Harry Grossman, Lilia Montoya, Louis Shallett, Herman Klomp. If there are other names that you'd like to mention at this time, please do so as my hand sweeps over you.
John Day.
All the innocent people in Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza who died in this war.
Yeah.
Maria Kruger.
All the innocent people who have died of hate crimes, anti-Semitic and otherwise, due to the conflict going on.
Yeah.
Joan Bear.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing for us. If it is your custom to rise, please do so. And we turn to page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma v'divra chirutei v'yamlich melchutei, b'chayachon uvyomachon, u'b'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'mei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all who mourn. And together we say, Amen. You may be seated. Rose, are you up for announcements? It is my pleasure to introduce you to Rose Petersky, who you saw earlier lighting our candles. She is one of our board members and has a few announcements for you.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you had a great Thanksgiving, and if you had time off, I hope that you had some great time off as well. So for announcements, thank you to Michael Gordon for ensuring that we had a great live stream. And we are also grateful to the Year of Renewal Oneg Challenge donor for sponsoring the Oneg. If you wish to know more about the Year of Renewal Onegs, there is a big board in the lobby. You can go take a look at it and you can get an idea of what those are. If you're interested in joining the Shabbat Livestream Tech team, please contact Michael Gordon. Also, we need people to volunteer to chant Torah at our Shabbat service. If you want to be like Rabbi Ben and stand up and chant Torah and relive your bar, bat, b'nai, or otherwise moments for your mitzvah, please contact Rabbi Zober or Marilyn Roberts. Now, on Saturday, there will be Torah study. It will be via Zoom at 10 a.m. And then on December 1st, there will be a Shabbat service in solidarity with Israel, and there will be an Oneg. They will be sponsored by the Social Action Committee. They will have Israeli food. They'll have a bunch of other activities. If you're interested, please come. And then Saturday, December 2nd, there will be Torah study again. And Sunday, December 3rd, remember there will be Sinai School. I know that it's a little bit weird with the holidays, but just keep that in mind. And with that, oh, yes, and then there's also stuff for Hanukkah. I'm sure we can get into that next service, though, so I'm not going to list all of it right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Keep your eyes on your email. If you are not yet on our email listserv and you'd like to, just put your name on the board or on the clipboard right outside on the lobby table, and we will make sure that you get our holiday emails. We got a bunch of fun stuff planned for Hanukkah, as always. And we are excited. For those of you who may be on the live stream, remember, no Sinai School this weekend. I know you're all very sad. I'm sad too. I will see you in 2 weeks. Sinai School is our K through 7 program. They're not sad. They're like, yes. I mean, I like you, Rabbi Sarah. Our closing song can be found on page 321. I think I got it right this time. We are going to be singing Adon Olam. Did I get it right this time? Yes. Good. Every time I have the wrong thing written down for Adon Olam. Adon Olam Hashem Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefso Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Li'acharei Kiflot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yeya B'tifara Adon Olam Hashem Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefso Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Li'acharei Kiflot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yeya B'tifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni להמשיל לו להחבירה ולי ראשית ולי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי ויצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום מקרא והוא אחד ואין שני להמשיל לו להחבירה Lili Reshit Veli Tachlit Velo Ha'oz VeHaMizrach Vehu Eli V'chai Goli Etzor Chavli V'Eitzara Vehu Nisi Umanos Li V'nat Kosi B'Yom Mekra בידו אפקיד רוחי, תהייתי שם בעיירה, עם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. בידו אפקיד רוחי, תהייתי שם בעיירה, עם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לי עת נעשה בחפצו פה, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לי עת נעשה בחפצו פה, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us in the social hall for Kiddush and Motzi.